track next week.
Here we go.
Dear.
All right, here we are. Yay. Okay, I'm gonna share this out. It's right in my face. I'm gonna share this out to our groups before we get going here. Okay, we are live. Hallelujah. Come on, computer, you can do it. Is everybody enjoying the sunshine?
Oh, it's so beautiful.
I am a huge fan of sunshine. I will take cold with sunshine any day over clouds.
Mm-hmm. That's what I wanted my name to be in high school. I wanted my name to be Sunshine and drive a yellow bug and
I love that.
So hippie-ish.
I love that. Okay, here we go. Sheridan Braveheart.
There we go.
And then...
Oh, you just passed it.
Did I?
A little bit up.
Oh, there we go.
Thanks.
All right. We are all shared out. We're ready to go. Rock and roll. All right, beautiful friends. Here we are.
Hi, guys.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Braveheart Conversations. I'm Jillian Aurora, and this is my beautiful co-host, Marie Wallace.
Hi, everybody.
We're super happy to be here with you again, live in person, not on Zoom.
Yay for that.
All right, so I want to welcome everybody who is here with us today, whether that is on Facebook, we're here live every week on Thursday mornings, or if you're joining us on a replay on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, all the places. You can also find us in our group, Braveheart Conversations on Facebook, and you can find replays there or join in discussions, and we'd love to have you there. This morning, we are going to be talking about, no surprise, the election and all of the emotions that have come up since that decision has, well, I guess I should say it hasn't officially been made. I think he's projected. Is that what it's still? Yeah.
He's still president-elect.
Yeah, or projected winner.
Projected winner.
So there's a lot of feelings for people, a lot of conflict around the election, a lot of conflict in America in general. And there's a couple of things that have been really deeply concerning to me. Obviously, politics has been concerning to a lot of people in general, but I feel for me, the way that conflict has been going is deeply concerning. I think that conflict is very healthy. We've talked about that before. It's really healthy to have really thought-provoking discussions and curious discussions. It's great to disagree. But when we start getting into accusations and name calling and some of the nastiness, that's not productive and it gets pretty concerning. And what I've seen is a deep lack of understanding or any kind of curiosity for the other side. And what I'm seeing is, if you're on my side, you are for everything good. And if you are not on my side, you are evil, you are wrong, and you are just depraved morally. And what is deeply concerning to me about that is I really believe that is how violence and civil wars begin, is when we dehumanize the other side and we make them bad and wrong and we make them into monsters. So, we've talked about, a little of this before. We've touched on this theme, but I really do believe that when we are in the midst of something like this, we're seeing our leaders not act in a unified way, but
Mm-hmm.
we can choose to act in unity. We can choose to not be hateful.
Mm-hmm.
We can choose to say, I don't agree with someone else's values. I have a different stance, but that doesn't make them bad and wrong and evil. And right now, what I'm hearing on the two sides, which I believe are illusions, by the way, and we can get into that a little bit more later as well. But when we see, Biden, they're baby killers, and Trump, they are racist, we're making them morally wrong. We're making the other side bad. And when we do that, there are consequences. And I think we also get to look at, do we really want people just being coerced into doing things our way?
Mm.
Do we really want our way by force?
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing people not have true discussions. They want compliance. And that's scary.
It's super scary and not unifying. I think if you realize that we're all connected and that we're all on this journey together, it's a different perspective. But even just bringing it to what you were saying, the rich conversations you can have when you open up your heart to look to understand someone and why they believe. I've had some amazing conversations from people on both sides when we're both open to that possibility of hearing each other, because isn't that what we ultimately want, to hear each other? Because bullying, just as you were saying, bullying on either side, it just shuts me down. And it doesn't leave room for that possibility of connection and growth and unifying and bringing we are the United States of America, and the only way that we are going to bring it back to United States of America is doing.
Yeah, and I think remembering that we are all really on the same side. We really want the same things. We want a healthy country. We want a healthy economy. We want
Jobs, things for our families.
we want equality. We
Mm-hmm.
want the same things. We disagree on how we get there. But I'm going to relate this to something that's near and dear to my heart. So I'm very much an activist for women's equality. Right. That's something
Mm-hmm.
that has been um, part of my path and part
Me
of what I
too.
was placed on this planet to do and be. And so when I think in terms of that topic, um, the uh, the temptation is to get to what I want through hatred, right? I see that everywhere. I see people demonizing the other side, or in that case, the other sex, the other gender. So, all men are bad, or, really, really seeking for women's domination instead
Mm.
of women's equality. And so that can be a temptation, I think, in any arena. But I believe we get to transcend that by saying, I know we're not enemies. We're not on different sides. We want the same thing. I truly believe that men and women deeply want connection.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been both victimized by a lot of programming. And it's not men's fault that they're programmed, and it's not women's fault that they're programmed. We are, and we are all responsible for healing it and dealing with it. And I don't believe that this is any different. So we all have an opportunity now as Americans to transcend this pain and these differences. And we can get there either through curious conversation where we have true empathy for each other and we see each other's viewpoints, or we can get there by force. I don't believe in either scenario, whether we're talking about women's rights or we're talking about any of these other political issues. We will not be satisfied if we get there by force.
No.
So, I want to talk about when slavery was abolished. Okay. What do we truly deeply want? We want people that believe in each other's equality, right? But many slave owners got there by force.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was that a solution? Yes, it was a start of a solution, because no one should be a slave, just like no woman should be property. So yes, there are some things that we get to do by force. Whether you want it or not, there's not going to be slavery, and there's not going to be people that are owned for any reason. However, what we truly want is not just people that get there by coercion. We actually want people who believe in equality. And we don't get there by telling them they have to be. We get there by honest, open conversations that are hard to have.
Mm-hmm.
They're hard to stomach. They're triggering. We get there because we remain open and loving, not because we tell them that, you know, they're threatened, they're not going to
Mm-hmm.
have, they're not going to be loved, they're not going to be accepted, they're rejected. That's not the way that we get people
To the place.
no, no, it's not a good productive solution.
And doesn't mean it's not going to be frustrating or confusing, even sometimes overwhelming, but it allows you to grow. You can grow your edges, those places that you feel that are stopped. You can grow those edges and hear from another perspective. I have asked along this journey different people, well, why do you believe what you do? And it because their opinions were different than mine, and it was really phenomenal to hear their side. Doesn't mean I have to agree, doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything except that I am open to hearing another human being say why they believe what they believe, and I can take that in and maybe use it, because in some cases I've never thought of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other times where I go, well, I'm glad you told me what you believe. And there are other times when you go, that's very frustrating. But it doesn't mean I'm dishonoring of that person. And I think that's the edge that we're messing with, is dehumanizing people, dishonoring them,
And
berating them,
segregation.
segregation.
We are segregating ourselves. We are
You're
sorting.
right, I'm wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, and I see it in we're physically changing where we live. You know, we are going into, well, I want to live in a red state, I want to live in a blue state, I want to live in a red city or blue city. Like that is deeply concerning. The neighborhoods we live in, even now, the social media. How many of us now are like, well, I'm going to go to Parler, right? And now we're going to have two very different locations that people are, which is deeply concerning to me, that we are going to have less and less
meeting in the middle.
And diversity of opinions. I value that.
Me
I
too.
really value that, and there's less and less places where I can have that, because people are segregating themselves so deeply, and I think there's less and less value of differences. And isn't that what we're all about here in America?
It's sort of, this is interesting. It reminds me of teenagers. How, as teenagers, we struggle to be so different than the other people, right? And then what do we end up doing? We end up looking all the same, being all the same, right? And if you're not the same, then you exclude yourself, or you do something different. And the beauty is in having the diverse opinions, the diverse style, the diverse things, because I don't know, it's a more rich experience.
It is. And I had some really, really strong opinions, still have strong opinions, but I can remember growing up and seeing things one way, and then getting a totally different experience when I started working in a field where I saw people in poverty, and I saw people that had come, children that had come from abusive homes, and drug addiction. And I saw people in a very different light than what I had before. And that ability to be open to other experiences and seeing things from more of an empathetic light is really, really deeply important. Just because my experience has been one way and my reality is colored in one particular way doesn't mean that that's reality for everyone. And I am benefited when I can see the complexity of truth in everybody and their different experiences. We live in a really big world, and our experiences are so different by class, by gender, by race, by country that we grow up, even in the cities or the states that
Mm-hmm.
we're so diverse. And instead of shutting that out and saying that we're all going to just, anything that's outside of my realm of reasoning and experience is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, that's sad. I truly think that we have a lot more common ground than we think. We want the same things very often. Let's pick a huge hot topic, abortion. Like nobody
Nobody.
wants to kill babies.
No.
If we could come together and we could actually find solutions that would prevent abortions instead of just making it illegal, like we could actually do that.
Mm-hmm.
But um, in the past, if you read the book The Big Sword, it actually talks about how legislation has been shut down that actually would limit abortions from happening. It was not, it didn't fit in the partisan boxes, and it wasn't
Mm.
part of the fight that we make it into. So,
Nor do we have the education we need to have other options as well. I
mhm.
mean, I just know so many scenarios where even adoption wasn't considered as an option because they had not had enough education or whatever the thing is sometimes it's just a lack of either understanding the sides or the consequences or and seeing that there's another choice. So
Mhm.
there's always more choices to sometimes, like you said, we don't have a,
Yeah,
it's
I
not in that
think
box.
so often there's an illusion of two choices, and there's more. There's always more. There's always
Always.
a third choice, a third option that we're not seeing. Um, and this is the beauty in mediation. I love this when I have two people in the room and they are, set on their way, and then, we keep talking, and there's more solutions that roll out.
Always.
But you got to get that conversation started, and you got to put the hatred away. Like that's so important. You gotta bring your curiosity back to life, and there's always another solution.
I think I love that you said that because sometimes people hang on to their way. Um, e- let's use COVID as an example. Like people were holding on to that life's going to get back to normal, right? And it never did and never would. But the longer we hold on to it, the more we're closing ourselves off to other possibilities, other solutions. And I call myself the queen of possibilities because someone will say no, and you're going, well, there's yes and no, and then there's maybe. And then there's always that other way that we haven't thought of. But if we're hanging so hard onto the way things used to be, or the way things are, or the way things should be, we're not leaving ourselves open for other possibilities or new solutions or new ways of doing things, and we suffer from that. We continue to hold on to the pain instead of transcend that pain, because when we let go and we feel the feelings, the anger, the frustration, all those things about what's happening, we leave room for creation. And when we have creation, we get to use our energy in a whole new way and a more positive way. And so, hey, I guess I got excited about that.
Yeah, well, and I think so many of us are proud of our country for being
Yes.
the place where we can exercise
Have the
freedom,
possibilities.
right? Yeah, that we have freedom here to be creative and come up with solutions, and we aren't
And build
limited
our own
by.
empires. And
Right, we're not limited by policies. We're
mm-hmm.
not supposed to be limited by policies that say we have to believe a certain way or we have to live a certain way. We're supposed to have freedom here,
Mm-hmm.
and so even though people disagree with me, I get to celebrate that they get to disagree with me.
Mm-hmm.
We have those rights here, and those rights are sacred.
There's plenty of places where we don't have that right to celebrate the way that we believe it. There's so many places where it's that it's very dictatorship and it's my way or the highway or
and I believe
not.
that no matter who dictates anything, whoever dictates what, we still have that sacred right no matter what. Nobody can take that from us.
Agreed.
They can make life really difficult trying to suppress. And I'm not saying that that suppression isn't also in America.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
but I do believe it's what we decide it's going to be as a collective, right? Those are sacred rights to us and for us. And so we get to stand up for those things. So I get to celebrate that you get to disagree with me. That is your sacred right to disagree with me. Any topic. And I don't get to say that you're bad and wrong for disagreeing with me. I think that we've lost sight of how valuable that is. Because when we lose the ability to disagree, that's not a world that I want to live in.
Mm.
I don't want to live in a world where everyone is dictated and coerced to believe one thing, one way.
Mm. That's why I like her.
I want us to be able to come to our own genuine conclusions.
Mm.
Who wants to live in a world that's fake and that we have to manufacture our beliefs and feelings according to what somebody else thinks?
Mm-hmm.
That's not how I want to live. That's not how I want you to live. I don't want you to just comply with whatever I think is the right way. I want you to truly, genuinely be authentic. And I want us to both come to the table with vulnerable hearts.
That's why we have these conversations, to make it open and available, so
and
that
safe.
And safe.
Yeah.
That's how we grow. That's how we learn. That's how we become the best versions of ourselves too.
And I'm not seeing a lot of safe conversations out there right
Mm-mm.
now. And safe conversations are really, really important. That honors the sacred rights that we have to disagree, is when we come together and I can say, I may not agree with you and I may deeply disagree with you, but I still celebrate your ability to be authentic with me.
It's so freeing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so freeing to feel safe to say what you need to, or explore, or be curious, because there are situations where I have felt that I couldn't even feel safe to be curious.
Yeah, and that's actually where I set my boundaries. So Facebook has been very interesting this year. I've seen a lot of these posts. We all have seen the posts, I won't be friends with you if you believe in such and such political character. Or
if you believe this.
Yeah. And I have many friends on both sides of the political aisle. And for me, the boundary is not who you believe in, it's how you disagree. If you come to the table with name calling and degrading comments and accusations, that's not going to be in my space. But I fully, wholeheartedly respect your ability to disagree. Hi, Abby. I'm so glad that you're here this morning. A lot of people are so defensive. I'm loving this video. I love you so much, Abby, and I'm glad you're here. People are super defensive right now. And I understand why there's defensiveness, because it's been super unsafe to disagree. But if we can drop the offensiveness and the defensiveness, I think we could really come to some real solutions. But that's going to require a lot of bravery and courage from us individually. And I truly believe that our leaders that we watch acting like children are simply reflections of us. Mm-hmm. And we've been behaving like children to each other. We have been behaving horridly, and we have not created safe environments for conversation. We have not created a safe place for vulnerability, and we all get to take ownership for that. We all get to take ownership for creating a sacred and safe space to hear each other and to get curious about why, and curious about each other's wounds, because we all have them. We're all afraid of somebody taking away our rights, or we're afraid of somebody hurting us, or we're afraid of being vulnerable. And when we can truly hear that in each other, I think that we can truly come to some agreements and some resolution. When we get so caught up in our own ideology, it can really run away with our like whole sanity. Like it can really make us crazy. And the last thing that I want to see is for somebody who sees themselves as a justice warrior that's standing up for the truth to dehumanize someone else and become so capable of violence that they go down in history as the aggressors. How ironic is that? How ironic is it that the people who say that they're fighting for peace and for justice are the very ones who are becoming malicious and violent? So we all
I
get
don't
to
want
keep
my
ourselves
legacy
in
to
check.
look like that.
No, no. The priority, you know, when our values become so skewed that we see someone else as the enemy, you know, we get big problems, really big problems. And this isn't the first time in history this has happened. You know, lots of people that have done some really horrendous things thought that they were in the right.
Mm-hmm.
They thought that they were helping, and they were perpetuating hatred and violence. So let's not repeat that.
History's full of that. Let's change history.
Yeah, have we learned this enough times? Only we can answer that, right? Have we learned this enough times? We have a lot of violence in the world right now. We have a lot of violence overseas, not just in America. We've got some deep unrest here. And America has been really lucky to not have war on our soil since the Civil War, right? We don't have to deal with the wars that a lot of the world has had to deal with, and a lot of the violence. We've been exempt. I don't want to see us have to experience those things in order to learn the lesson that we need to learn. But we will if we aren't willing to learn it now, and we aren't willing to peacefully resolve our conflicts. That violence will come, and it will come with some really heavy lessons. And I don't think either of us want to see that. No. You know, we're peacekeepers.
We are peacekeepers.
It's been sacred to me to not have sides. That's been a deep value of mine over this year that became more and more clear. I don't want to have sides. I want to see humanity for what it is. We're not enemies. We are not enemies. We want the same things.
We're better together.
And choices like red and blue are illusions.
Mm-hmm.
They are not true. They're false choices. They're false choices. So I just got on the soapbox.
That was awesome. Yeah. That's what it's about.
Braveheart conversation soapbox.
I love it. I like that there's always choices. If we leave you with anything, there's just always a possibility. And just to honor each other and to hear each other. Because truly we're in this together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm also feeling a lot of settle energy around politics. Like, yeah, I have to choose XYZ because I can't have the alternative. And that is settle energy. And I'm not available for settling. Settling helps no one. I'm not. It serves no one. Mm-hmm. Make your choices based on what you truly believe, not on what you don't believe. I really believe that all of the compromise that we've done in this country has gotten us to where we are. For years and years and years, we continue to make choices that are out of fear. They're out of fear and not out of inspiration. Not out of what we truly want. Not out of our desires, but the things that we are afraid of happening. And I really believe that what you focus on, you get more of. And we've been focusing on a lot of fears lately. So how can we focus more on love and more on what we want to see?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And create from that.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of unrest right now. This whole year has been a lot of unrest.
And it's the winter, right? It's the winter. So what seeds can you plant for next year? Mm-hmm. What are some things and possibilities and things that you can see, seeds you can plant now that will come to fruition? Sometimes you need that. We've talked about this lots of times on this program is that these are seasons and cycles, 2020 and all the events aren't going to be forever. So
Yeah.
what's next? What's next for you?
Yeah, and with transition, like we've experienced this year, there's always a good side to that. You know, it's scary. It's so fucking scary. But it is also a fresh start. With transition comes this like clearing, right? The
It's
universe
like weeding.
just, yeah, I mean, we just got plowed.
We're going to grow a whole new crop.
got moved out of the way, which is also something to celebrate. It's scary because we don't know what's coming next and we don't know what's going to fill that blank canvas. But we had a lot of shit that needed to go anyway, and we still do.
And there's a lot of choices what can come next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's always some of that uncertainty in the winter season. It's brutal, it's hard, and it's uncertain. We don't know how we're going to make it through, and we don't know what's going to be rebuilt. So we're all sitting in that together, and let's not devour each other because of our own fear, because we all have the same fear. Nobody wants to see things go to shit.
Mm-mm.
We all want the same thing. We all want to live peaceful lives. I don't know anyone that's like, yeah, bring on a war.
Mm-mm.
I don't know anyone that's not saying, oh, I just wish things could go back to normal. People deeply want to live happy, free lives where they're friendly to each other and they're experiencing love from each other. So lean into what you want, lean into what the common ground is, because it's always there. It's always there.
Always. Well, another lovely session.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much
Thank
for joining us today. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on unity and how we can move through conflict in a healthier way, in a better way, in a constructive way, in a way that we can find solutions instead of just tearing each other down. That's what I want to bring into 2021.
Let's do it.
I want to bring constructive conflict into 2021. That means more honesty, and it means that we're being honest and vulnerable.
And some letting go.
With safety.
Mm-hmm.
We're protecting each other's ability to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you for joining us this week. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. If you have any questions or comments for us, please feel free to reach out. You can reach us individually. My email is defytheaverage@gmail.com. And Marie?
Marie@mariesgold.com.
You can also join us in our Facebook group, Braveheart Conversations. You can start discussions there, watch any of our previous content, and we look forward to hearing from you. With that, I hope you all have a fabulous week, and we will see you next Thursday.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye, guys.
Love you guys.
Love you. End.